New development in the Xavier Lucas transfer situation at Wisconsin. We're going to talk about it all because Xavier Lucas is changing the transfer portal game in a way that we've really never seen before in college football. A move that could reshape the future of college football. I cannot overstate this enough. This is a huge development. And if you want to figure out what could possibly happen to your team, you'll want to listen into this because unfortunately, this could happen to pretty much any team at any point in time, whether your team is tampering, not tampering. It could happen to anybody. So let's briefly recap what's happened. If you want more in-depth analysis on what happened and going through it all and kind of the rumors, and then my thoughts on what is true and not true based off what we've read and seen online and different places and talking to different people, I did link the video in the description of this one, so you can go ahead and go over there. But just a brief recap: Xavier Lucas is a freshman. Well, he was a freshman DB at Wisconsin. He's going to be a sophomore this next year, and he wanted to transfer to Miami. We didn't know Miami at first, but he wanted to transfer, and not sure why, but Wisconsin was not putting him in the transfer portal. This became a story. Xavier Lucas tweeted about it, and then it kind of blew up even more. We didn't really hear about it until Xavier Lucas hired an agent. What we figured out now is that Xavier Lucas wanted to transfer to Miami because of his father's illness, but was blocked by Wisconsin, and they were citing a revenue sharing contract. Now, if you don't know what that means, the national letter of intent is gone in recruiting now, and this is basically what it has been replaced with: a revenue sharing contract. This is a way for schools to say, you are going to play here next year and we will pay you to do that. And so these contracts are supposed to be binding, but now in a situation where Xavier Lucas has signed that but is no longer honoring it, it's become clear to college football fans that just because you sign something, just because you say you're going to play someplace, does not mean you have to actually play at that place. There's a whole story about what went on behind the scenes with Xavier Lucas and Luke Fickell. He claims that he went to Luke Fickell and said that his father had an illness and he didn't want to play on the team anymore, and Luke Fickell disregarded that and just tried to convince him to come back and play. I want to remind everybody, most of the story that we're getting right now is coming from the Xavier Lucas side. So I'm not saying that isn't true. I'm just saying that sometimes when you only hear from one side, you're going to hear more positive things for that side and negative things about the other side. So I would say if you're looking for a verdict on how you feel about the situation, try to wait around to see if more information comes out from both sides. That way you can try to make an accurate interpretation of what is going on here. Essentially, when Wisconsin refused to enter Lucas into the portal, leaving him in kind of this like pseudo purgatory and unable to communicate with other schools, his attorney Darren Heitner argued that this violated the NCAA rules and planned to sue Wisconsin and the NCAA that Xavier Lucas was not actually being put into the transfer portal. The big news now is that despite not entering the transfer portal, Xavier Lucas has left Wisconsin and is now enrolled at Miami without formally signing with the Hurricanes. He avoided the NCAA rules by withdrawing from Wisconsin, not going to classes, not going there at all. He is withdrawn from Wisconsin and now enrolling as a regular student at Miami, essentially bypassing the entire system of the transfer portal. Why is this significant? Because now, at any point in time, any player can leave if they choose to go about this route and it fits academically. Any player can leave a school and then enter into a school if they can get in academically. This move could set a legal precedent for future transfers outside of the portal windows or without using the portal at all. I do think it still has to fit things academically, so it's not necessarily a free-for-all, but this is definitely a situation where somebody could just leave the team and we have no idea. Somebody could just decide they're not coming back, and we don't know it's happened until the next semester when it's like, hey, this guy still isn't on campus. He's not showing up to classes. Don't be surprised if somebody on a team in the coming years just doesn't show back up to campus, and the insiders and the coaches are like, where is this guy? And it's beginning to be talked about more. It's a delicate situation. Really, the key issue in all of this is that Wisconsin has refused to release Lucas from the revenue sharing contract and enter him into the transfer portal. And the contract's enforceability could be challenged if it's tied to a future antitrust or settlement. Now, I'm not going to get into all that stuff because this isn't a show about, being a lawyer and all that stuff. But basically, Wisconsin, this doesn't have to be over yet. If Wisconsin wants to continue working on this and wants to take Xavier Lucas to court on this, they could very well do so. What would be easy is if Miami would just pay the contract off, but again, that would also require Wisconsin being okay with that situation. But schools are going to use revenue sharing contracts. They were going to use revenue sharing contracts to lock in players, like with Lucas's situation. But Lucas's situation, what's going on here, could challenge that approach. It was hopeful that, if you get locked into a revenue sharing contract, then you have to play. Obviously, in this situation, this isn't going to work out the way that Wisconsin hoped it would, because essentially Xavier Lucas has found a transfer portal loophole to where he doesn't have to actually go into the transfer portal. He can just enroll in the next school and go up to the coach and say, "Hi, coach. My name is Xavier Lucas, and I would like to play for the Miami Hurricanes. Miami, Florida Hurricanes." "Oh, great. We have a scholarship. Sure, come by my office at this time and we will instate you in the team." Yada, yada, yada. We all know tampering happened. Evan Flood is an insider, 24/7 insider, and he had commentary on this. And essentially what he had to say was that coaches and insiders believe that this case will accelerate the need for a new governing body outside of the NCAA. This is something we've talked about a few times, but never really all that in depth. I'm not going to get into it super in depth here, but what you're looking at is you're most likely looking at a governing body that is away from the NCAA and away from the other sports, and basically their job is just to govern college football over everything else. Now, that could look like a number of different things. That could look like the conferences. That could look like an elected person among the conferences. We don't know exactly what that is, but it would be change, and it would be somebody who would be given more rights to actually govern what is going on in college football right now. There's a similar situation to this, not the governing body part, but the Xavier Lucas situation with what's going on in wrestling right now. This has become known as a blind transfer, where players enroll in a new school without entering the transfer portal, having already happened in college wrestling. Can this become a common in other sports such as college football? I do believe if there is not proper action taken, we will begin to see this more often in college football. Evan Flood's basically his kind of takeaway from all of this is Miami's involvement may have violated NCAA tampering rules, but proving it is difficult. And as we all know, the NCAA does not win in court, so the NCAA can take or can try to enforce these rules on Miami, but all they have to do is take them to court, and the NCAA will eventually lose. The larger issue remains with how college football is governed. That is really the way all of this stuff needs to be figured out, with teams basically having anarchy to do whatever they want, and if they do something that the NCAA doesn't like, they can just take the NCAA to court, and more often than not, they're going to win in those situations. My biggest takeaway from all of this, with Xavier Lucas moving on, not even having to enter the transfer portal, moving on to Miami and everything else, is that there is just mass chaos right now. And if the players really want to take advantage of it, they can. They can take complete advantage of this, and it can be mass anarchy, mass chaos, and everywhere with everything that's going on. What we need more than anything is we need somebody to govern college football accurately, fairly, and so that there are actually rules that people follow with actual punishments that actually go through, whether that looks like a person becoming in charge and being the person over it, or conferences getting together, or dare I say, and I don't want this, but it seems like the most likely scenario to me, the Big Ten and the SEC get together and say, we are going to govern our own Big Ten SEC of college football. This could, we'll see, this could just completely exclude the ACC, the Big 12, and everything else. The benefit there is that the Big Ten and the SEC could operate in whatever way they want outside of the Big Ten and the SEC, keeping all of their talent in the two conferences, not allowing tampering amongst each other. But you can go out to Utah, maybe talk to their quarterback. You can go out to Kansas State, maybe talk to their running back and see, hey, do you want to come to Purdue next year? Do you want to come to Illinois next year? Do you want to come to Arkansas next year and be able to bring those teams, those players in from those other teams? Obviously, that's a big example that is far down the road in my mind, but I think for a while now, people have seen the Big Ten and the SEC really elevate, at least revenue-wise, above the rest of college football. And with that revenue comes a whole lot of power. And so the Big Ten and the SEC has leveraged that power in college football playoffs talks and everything, and they're just going to continue to leverage it as much as they possibly can. Eventually, if the Big 12 and the ACC and all the Group of 5 conferences are not careful, they will just go ahead and leave them in the dust. At this point, the Big 12, the ACC really seems like they're just kind of holding on for dear life and just begging the Big Ten and the SEC to take them with them. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not trying to say that to disparage those other conferences. Just the way I look at it now, that's kind of what I see. So let me know what you see. Let me know what you're thinking. Comment below. Let me figure out what you guys think is going to happen. Do you think my theory of the Big Ten and the SEC combining is accurate? Do you think that there needs to be a governing body over the NCAA? Do you think it should be Josh Pate? Do you think it should be Joe Klatt? Who do you think should be the governing body over college football? Would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. Have a good one.